The Lord be with you. Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The apostles gathered together with Jesus and reported all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." People were coming and going in great numbers, and they had no opportunity even to eat. So they went off in a boat by themselves to a deserted place. People saw them leaving, and many came to know about it. They hastened there on foot from all the towns and arrived at the place before them. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, for they were like sheep without a shepherd. And then he began to teach them many things. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
There was once a monk in a monastery who prayed his entire life that he would have a vision that would reassure him that his faith and his work was true. But the vision never came. However, one morning as he was praying, the vision showed up. And it was the most joyous moment of the monk's life. But about the same time, the monastery bell rang, signaling that it was time to feed the poor who gathered at the door and at the gate at every day. And wouldn't you know it, it was the monk's turn to distribute the food. He was torn between staying and praying as the vision continued, or leaving and feeding the needy. He had to decide what to do. If he turned his back on the vision, he would show himself ungrateful to God for the gift that he had prayed for all his life. But if he turned his back on feeding the hungry, then they would have nothing to eat that day. Well, he decided, I will go to the kitchen, I'll load up the cart with food, and distribute it to the poor standing at the gate. Well, he did that. And about an hour later, he returned to his cell, his room, saddened to have left the vision, but deep down inside, glad in his heart that he fed the poor. But when he opened the door, he fell on his knees and wept for joy, because there was the vision that he had been waiting all his life for, and it was still there on his return. And through his tears and his sobbing, he heard a voice that spoke, "Had you not gone to feed the poor, I would not have stayed." It's reassuring to know that the monk did in his monastery what Jesus did in the gospel today. When Jesus sees the crowd, in his own words, like sheep without a shepherd, he meets their needs while postponing his own wants and desires to be alone with his chosen 12, his apostles, his closest friends. And I think he did so to make it clear to us that prayer and action are both important in our lives as Christians. Both are like the two rails of a train track. They must roll along together because both are absolutely necessary. Now, the difficulty we often face is that we give one priority at the expense of the other. And the danger is, for example, that just because I can do only little or nothing to help the poor, I'll just pray for them and leave it go at that and let God take care of them. Well, St. Ignatius of Loyola tells us that we have to do both. Work as though everything depends on us, but pray as though everything depends on God. And I'd like to leave us now with a real short story. One day a person was praying to God, asking God to help the needy people of our world. And finally, in frustration, she shouted out, "Lord, why don't you do something about this ugly situation we have in our world?" And a voice whispered, saying, "I did do something. I made you."